cost of running that infrastructure in your premise, and not only from a Microsoft licensing perspective, but the server hardware, the storage, the power, the cooling, the people. There's some complexity there that's not straightforward. So a lot of the tools that we're building actually focus on helping to model some of that out, so you can get a realistic sense of what the cost is and what the saving would be.
And so the idea is that Microsoft can do that at a scale that it makes it, they can offer it usually cheaper than what a business would be able to do it for.
I don't think I don't even know the actual number of servers that are in the data centers, but we're talking, tens of thousands, if not 100,000 in one data center, and the scale we can drive from that size is massive. Because if you think about even the people equation, the way it's been architected and the way it's been managed, you have maybe one IT professional for 5,000 servers, one for 10,000 servers. So when you are using the equivalent of one, you actually pay the equivalent of 1,000th of an IT pro. Whereas if you're a small company, you might have 10 servers, but you still have a full-time person or half a time person. So this is one of the many examples where we can derive economy of scales. I just wanted to, if I may, you mentioned earlier the pricing, and maybe I wanted to make sure that people are very clear on the fact that the pricing we just discussed are very at the platform level. But you mentioned things like email or SharePoint.
If you want to do
like
those different functions,
those would be a different type of offering, which is more of a user-centric type of offering. So in that particular model, we're not offering a platform on top of which you build things. We're offering a set of software or services that are valuable to individuals. In that particular model, we will be charging per user. So there's a price of $15 a month or $10 a month. I don't remember the exact price, but then
depends on which ones you use.
And so it's important to differentiate again the notion of software or as a service that we offer through the online brand, and the platform as a service that we offer under the Azure brand, and the pricing is different because what we offer is different.
Okay. Do you guys deal with any cloud services that are consumer orientated?
Yes.
Which ones?
SkyDrive is an example. So storage there.
So that's currently 25 gig free to anybody with a Live ID account?
Correct. Then there was this thing called Mesh as more of an initial experiment. Now things are moving towards the synchronization. There was another thing called Live Sync. So as part of the Windows Live brand, you're going to see a lot of those consumer-oriented services coming to life. And some are also hybrid models. Like if you think of Messenger, it is you have a desktop client that allows you to be IM, but there's a lot of cloud things happening. And then you have the Messenger Connect, which is a way of exploring a social graph and exposing that particular graph from other websites, a little bit like Facebook Connect, if you're familiar with that.
One of the other very recent examples that we've launched is Office. So
Office Live, and
Office is now effectively part of the Live service, and the new Hotmail just went live here in Australia a few weeks ago. So anyone of the 650 million people that use Hotmail now have a basic version of Office built straight into the browser.
And that supports rules and things now, which is great.
And the experience is very similar to the full client, and there's one of the best things for me is it links directly to the full Office client that I use. So the ability to take that document, open it in Office, save that straight back to the email or to the SkyDrive. The integration is pretty cool. Actually, it works pretty nicely.
I agree. I used to use Google Docs, I have to admit, for the show notes for my podcast, and now since that launched, I've migrated over to because there is that transition between the desktop client and the web version. So it's very handy. What about Windows 7 integration with cloud services? Is there anything you can speak on about that? Windows Phone 7. In terms of mobile connecting to the cloud.
So a lot of not even going to the Windows 7, even Windows 6.5 today has some cloud services, one of which is My Phone. I don't know how familiar we are with
so
that.
that's remote wipe and things like that.
Correct, remote wipe, but also backup of your SMSs and picture and things like this. So this is type of things that are already part of the mindset and architecture. And certainly on the Windows 7 front, Windows Phone 7 front, the cloud is part of the way the phone works. In terms of in that particular instance, you have the storage piece that is important for the phone, but even more important is notion of shared context. The cloud allows you to store the context that you can then pick up from another place, if you will. So things like companion apps for Xbox Live games are example of that. So you might be playing Halo on your Xbox, and then something happens, you pause or you stop. That particular context of what you did is stored in the cloud, and then you might pick up not the exact same game, because it would not be very nice to play Halo on a
but
phone, but you
that
might
sort of
continue,
concept that
correct, but you might continue.
Okay.
There might be other type of things you might do in the Halo contexts. Maybe you might customize your gear or whatever that you could do on the phone. But so that integration of the device, where it is the laptop, the phone, the TV, with the cloud, is at the center of how we're seeing the evolution of our products.
Very good. Just probably a final question we can wrap up on. What's the state of like Azure? Does it have like a version that you iterate on and will develop over time, or like what's the roadmap, I guess, for the future? What's coming up?
I can talk to that. I mean, it's an interesting question. It's an interesting model, actually, and it applies to I guess a number of the software as a service and platform as a services, because as a traditional software vendor, we're presented with an opportunity actually to rapidly accelerate how we deploy new features into those platforms. So the rate of innovation and the innovation delivery on Azure and on BPOS and on the services is actually it's way quicker, not in terms of how we build the features, but how we can provide them to market. So the concept of roadmap for those services is somewhat different, just because of the speed with which we can bring things to market. So both landing the feature or landing the product. So if you look at something like Project Dallas, for example, which we've announced we're launching on Azure later this calendar year, as an example of kind of landing the big new thing, but also just the day-to-day features are kind of changing and moving rapidly. So it changes the model.
Very good. All right, guys, appreciate your time. We'll probably wrap up there.
Okay, well, thanks
very much.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.